Hey guys, Freddy here. Welcome back to another rules breakdown. This time I'm going to be looking at this, Marvel Superheroes, which came out from TSR in 1984. Now this is a nice, simple, streamlined system, so this shouldn't be one of the longest rules breakdown videos out there. But we'll be going through it. Now, part of the system relies around the universal table. So we're going to be seeing a lot of this, which fortunately is on the back of both of the books included in the box set. And finally, to use a sample NPC character for making the rolls, we're going to use Dr. Octopus out of the Day of the Octopus adventure, also included in the box set. So skill tests in the Marvel Superhero System, Phase Rip, are detailed on page 6 of the battle book. So if we flick over to that, we can see they have feats. Now basically these are tests to see if you succeed in something which is difficult for your character. Going over to the following page, we can see Spiderman used as an example. Spiderman can lift up an office chair over his head easy because he has the proportional strength and agility of a spider. So that's simple for him. He is finding lifting a Volkswagen van to be a bit more difficult, so he needs to make a feat test to see if he can do that. And a plane behind him in the third image, well, that is impossible for him, so he can't even attempt that. But other characters, if you were doing Aunt May, she would have difficulty lifting an office chair above her head. So you make her make a feat test, if it's at all possible, because she is an elderly lady. But something like Ant-Man in his giant form, Giant Man as he's called in the comics, well, he can lift up a Volkswagen van in one hand and throw it around quite easily. So he doesn't even need to test for that. But a plane is about equivalent to his size, so that would be more difficult. He'd need to make a feat test for that. But also, if you're getting to larger characters, Galactus and the like, well, they can throw planes around, they can tear skyscrapers out of their roots and chuck them, even without making tests, because they are so massive. So first of all, your Games Master makes a determination, if you need to make a test for it. So we're going to say that instead of lifting something, we're going to get our sample character, Dr. Octopus, to be reasoning out how to use an alien teleporter. So an alien teleporter, if you were stripping it down and rebuilding it, I would say you probably need to have something like an incredible or amazing, maybe even monstrous intelligence to figure out how to do that. But just to operate it, well, I think smart people could probably work out how to use an alien teleporter. So we'll say anything over good is possible. So looking at Dr. Octopus, his reason is excellent. So he would be rolling on the excellent column. So we throw our D100. We get 52. And that's in green. So he's going to succeed in that. Now, green, amber and red are determinations of a level of success if you're using that rule. They're not built into the system. If you get any colour, you've succeeded. But if you're using a determination, you can say, well, that's a borderline success. He's managed to operate it, but perhaps it won't target exactly where he wanted to go. Whereas if he got red, he would know exactly how to use the device. There are also talents. So Dr. Octopus is a scientist specializing in mechanics and robotics. And in that case, you move up to the next column. So Dr. Octopus's reason is, as we said, excellent. But if he is dealing with robotics, he is rolling on remarkable, so he has a better chance of succeeding. And finally, if you fail a roll, you can use karma. And basically it costs you 1 point of karma to add 1 point to a dice roll, and you can spend as much karma as you've got. And so an initiative, well, it's dealt with here on page 10. And at its most basic form, it's as simple as rolling a d10 and going who rolls highest to who goes lowest. But there's a more advanced initiative option here, where you compare their intuitions. So, Dr. Octopus has an intuition of typical. But if somebody had a remarkable intuition, well, that's 3 levels higher, so they'd get a +3 to their dice roll. And it's just a matter of comparing highest to lowest, as with the basic system. And so, combat. Well, it's dealt with feat tests, as you would with any other skill. And it explains here that if you're just punching, then you're using your fighting feat. Hack and slash, so using a knife or a sword, you're using your fighting feat too. If you're shooting and throwing things, you're using your agility. And it mentions that there's a distance option roll here, where if somebody's more than one area away from you, then it lowers the column you're using by 1. So if somebody is 2 areas away and you've got an excellent skill, then you're rolling on typical. You're going 1, 2 for the 2 areas. But that's an optional rule. There's also rules here for grappling, charging, etc. But perhaps the most important one to go over first is dodging. Now, dodging is a full round action, so instead of attacking, you'd be doing a dodge. And you're rolling your agility. And depending on the result, if you roll white, then you fail to dodge. If you roll green, then the battle effects table down here tells you get 2 shifts. So everybody attacking you moves 2 columns to the left on the universal table. So somebody who's attacking you is excellent at combat, and you're dodging and you've got 2 shifts, well, they're going to be rolling on typical. If you get an amber success, then it's 4 shifts, and if you get red, you get 6 shifts. So that somebody remarkable is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They're rolling on shift 0, and they have a minute chance of succeeding to hit you. But apart from that, you're rolling on the table. And there's various effects here depending on what colour you get. So in a slugfest, you get hits, slams, and stuns. And all of these have their own effects. So a slam, if the attacker's strength is at least equal to the defender's endurance, the defender must make an endurance feat roll and consult the slam column. So you roll your endurance, and you will get, if you fail, moved 1 area away, you'll get slammed the same area or no slam on amber or red. Likewise, there's stun, where if the attacker's strength at least equals the defender's endurance, the defender must make an endurance feat roll and consult the stun column. So you make an endurance test. If you fail it, then you're stunned for 1 to 10 rounds. If you succeed it on any colour, then you're not stunned. But other than that, when you hit, you then go on to damage. And so damage, well, it's usually based on your strength. So Dr. Octopus, who we're using, has a strength of remarkable. So we look at the table, and remarkable is 30 points of damage. Now, this can be changed by using a weapon. These are detailed on page 14, so handguns do 6 points, rifles do 10 points, blunt weapons do strength plus 1 column. So if he was using a baseball bat to crock somebody over the head with, he'd be taking up to incredible at 40 points of damage. Also, Dr. Octopus has an ability, because he's got his multiple metal tentacles. So he will do remarkable damage if he's using one of those, but he can decide to use multiple tentacles. He still only makes 1 attack roll. But if he's using 2, he takes it up to incredible, so 40 points of damage. 3, amazing, at 50 points of damage. And all 4, he's doing monstrous at 75 points of damage. Also worth bearing in mind is the battle effects here. So you might not be doing damage if you've got a kill effect. Down on the hack and slash or shooting and throwing columns, you can get kills. Going back a page, onto page 13. Kill. The defender is dying fast. He loses all his health points and passes out. His endurance falls 1 rank at the end of every round until he dies, when his endurance falls below feeble. He doesn't get to make an endurance feat roll to avoid this. If somebody spends a round helping him before he dies, now that doesn't require any skill rolls, any feat checks, just a hero going over and helping somebody, that he stops losing endurance. Once his endurance reaches feeble, he can stay alive by spending 5 karma points per round to keep his endurance at feeble. So you've received some damage, but what does that mean? Well, Marvel superheroes uses health. which are much like hit points. We can see Dr. Octopus here has 50 points of health. And you receive damage, you take off those until you reach 0. When you reach 0, you must make an endurance test on the universal table. If you get green, amber, or red, then you have succeeded and you just fall unconscious until the combat ends, or at least the combat moves away from you. So you can be left in the dust and get back to your feet after a few moments because the combat's moved on to a new room or whatever. If you get white, you are dying though, and that works the same way as the kill effect, where you're losing levels of your endurance until it reaches feeble and you pass away. Or somebody patches you up before then and you stop losing levels. After combat, you can heal, which is dealt with on page 5. An injured or sick hero regains health points equal to his current endurance rank number every day. The number is doubled if the hero rests in bed all day, and is tripled if he's under a doctor's care or in hospital. If the hero's endurance rank was reduced, he regains 1 rank per week. Healing continues and the hero's health and endurance return to normal. So if you were left bleeding out for a few rounds and you lost levels of health, then you're not going to heal up very quick. But otherwise you're healing up a number of points equal to whatever rank you are. So if you've got an endurance of good, you're healing up 10 points per day. So advancement. Well, advancement uses your karma. We've already seen how karma can increase dice rolls and can be used to stave off death. You earn karma, as detailed in the campaign book. Everything else we've been looking at was in the battle book, but we're now onto the campaign book. And we can see that various actions earn you karma. Stopping violent crime, 30 or 15. But if you kill someone, you lose all your karma. If you break a date, or late for a date, you lose 5. That's a very Marvel problem. I can imagine Spiderman doing that. Handing out autographs earns you 1. Stopping a global conspiracy is 40. Rescuing somebody is 30. So we've got various ways of earning it. But that karma can also be spent to increase your abilities. Now that's dealt with in the very nicely named advancement section on page 45. Heroes created by players can improve their abilities and powers or gain new powers by spending karma. Firstly, you must create an improvement fund by spending 200 karma points. These 200 points are lost. In exchange, the hero is allowed to place karma points in the improvement fund, like money in a savings account. Once placed in the improvement fund, this karma can only be used to improve powers or abilities or gain new powers. Improving an ability or power costs a number of karma points equal to the new rank times 100. Raising endurance from excellent to remarkable, for example, costs 3,000 karma points. So if we look at the table, raising it from excellent to remarkable is 30 points times 100, 3,000 karma. You can only increase 1 at a time. No single ability or power can be raised more often than once per year. No ability or power can be raised to class 1000. A new power costs 3,000 karma points plus its power rank times 100. The power rank is determined randomly. The hero must have some justification for gaining this new power: exposure to cosmic radiation, strange chemicals, or other traumatic event. A new talent costs 500 karma points. Only 1 new talent can be gained each game year. The hero must spend time learning the skill either by going to school or through on-the-job training. So that's what you're doing. You're splitting off your karma and putting it into a separate fund, which you then use and increase your abilities, but it is very, very expensive. So that is Marvel Superheroes. It's a fast system, it's quite fun. I remember playing it in the late or mid to late 1980s and having a whole load of fun with it. And I remember looking through the source books in the late 90s and them really sparking imagination. There's so much available for this game and so much of it is brilliant quality. So I look forward to putting some of it in polls in the future and us getting a chance to look through that at some point. But anyway, I think I've whittled on for quite long enough as usual, so thank you very much for watching. But as always, most of all, you look after yourselves, and I'll catch you later. Bye now.